we've got enough notes here, we can start bringing in some detail components. Detail components are some in Revit, they refer to them interchangeably between detail components and detail items. The operative word being detail, meaning you're creating annotations. So from the annotate menu, if I'm to draw a detail component, I would select annotate, component, detail component. And this would allow me to select from detail components that are loaded in the model. None of them exist. For example, if I needed a W section, that would be it. That's a piece of steel in section. So I haven't got the ones in the model that I need, so I'm going to go begin to load them. I go to the Insert menu, Load Autodesk Family. And here is where I scroll down the detail items. Everything in detail items is arranged according to CSI category. CSI being Construction Specifications Institute. So I go down to Division 7, Finishes, gypsum plastering, no, gypsum board. There it is, gypsum wall board. Select that and click load. Now, there's really not much information yet, except that you notice the type selector has changed, and now we're able to select from a detail component called detail wallboard section. We have a bunch of different types, and what I need is a 5/8 inch type. And I'm going to click on my drawing somewhere and drag it once a beginning point and an end point. Okay? And that's a piece of 5/8 inch thick gypsum wallboard. Okay? Let's remove this dimension for now because, and I'm going to also remove these line guides because now I've got the basic outer elements of my gypsum board. I can add another leader to this by clicking this symbol. Whoops. Couple leader items, so I can use the same text annotation to point to both instances of that gypsum wallboard. So I need now a section representation of this 3 5/8 inch metal stud track. I have to load that item. Insert, Load Autodesk Family. Now I got to look for the division for metals, which we know to be Division 5. Right? And we have this category called Structural Metal Stud Framing, and this is the representation we want. We want a section through metal stud like so. I'm going to load that. Now I need to create an instance of it here, so I'm going to annotate, detail component, C stud section, and select from the 3 5/8 representation, and there it is. It's important to understand what it is that we're drawing. I'll draw an instance of it there. Let's revert to thin line mode, TL. Right. So there's the base of my wall. The other metal studs go in it vertically. Now I'm going to take my Align tool and align the inside face of the gypsum wallboard to the stud. should know how to use that align tool. If that seems new or unfamiliar to you, practice it because it's critical to assimilate. There's my gypsum board, both sides. I suggest these little arrows. If we want this representation to be, I prefer, instead of that open arrow, uh, the filled arrow. So I'm going to change it to filled arrow. And, now I can measure my wall. Floor and 7/8. A couple of other things that we need here. We need a break line to create the break in the wall, because the walls, this simple partition doesn't really go to the underside of the floor above. It meets the ceiling, right? So, but it comes short of the underside of the floor above. Let's go TL. What do I mean by that? Let's just bring this down, and that'll visually represent that now, right? We need something to represent the ceiling, but we need a double break line to indicate the wall stops at some point and continues vertically. So we go to Insert, go to this family, Detail Items, and under General, there's only one detail item, and that's the break line. I'm going to load that. It actually annotate. Oops. Annotate. Detail component, and I choose the break line. Okay, it draws it for you at a default scale. Okay, let me explain what this symbol is. The symbol is a break line. It also has this mask associated with it. Mask being this white area that's actually just a filled region that masks the area behind it. I need a copy of this, so I'm going to mirror it. Modify, mirror, I'm going to select its own axis, right? And because I want them both facing the same way, I'm going to also mirror it horizontally. So let's go mirror again, uncheck copy, and just click on this inferred horizontal axis. Okay, so now we have a break line on top of the break line. That's my double break line if we wanted to line them up. Right? That means this wall stops here, continues up a certain distance. Right? And then once I represent the ceiling, I could even indicate here how far above the ceiling that wall continues. Here's my 3.5 inch metal stud is at the core, so that's just a label annotating that fact. And it's good practice to line up these text notes. Little blue feedback line is really telling you those things are aligned. So I got some more text in here that I need right now. I may want to take this uh, stud section and mirror it and put it at the top, because it's actually, we need one at the top. And then we're going to take that wall and brace it. If I want to make a copy of it, I can choose the mirror tool again. Modify, mirror, and I'm going to pick anything horizontal. Right? So now we have a copy of that metal stud at the top. Okay. I'm creating a representation of a wall that's only got to extend 1 foot above the ceiling area. Now let's load the symbol, a detail component or detail item that represents a ceiling tile. Insert. Load Autodesk family. Detail items. Ceiling tile, ceilings or finishes. Acoustic ceiling tile. And we are going to select this tabular edge representation, which is just a little more interesting looking at the perimeter. This is beveled, so it fits into the ceiling grid. You can't see it until you draw it. It also has, if you wanted to model it with the wall angle, let's select both of these. And I select more than one now. Alright, I'm going to load that. And then load also the wall angle. Okay? So annotate, component, detail component. We start with that wall angle. It's going to go against the wall. Space bar flips this right. Not convenient for us, but we can mirror it. Let's just take that and mirror it. Nothing I'm doing should be unfamiliar to you. So what it is, let's go back over. Oops, I didn't create a copy of this. If anything seems unfamiliar, like the mirror tool, and the mirror along that axis. So now I have a copy of this ceiling track on both sides. Okay. It's hard to see once it's in. So those are aligned. Now I'm going to place it. Detail component of my suspended ceiling section, 3/4 by 24 by 24. That'll do it. Okay, this guy sits right in here. Draw one on that side. Right, so there's my ceiling. I could create a copy of that and say piece ceiling tire. These are painstaking, time-consuming, boring drawings to create, but you have to know how to do them. The good news is once you do one, you can use it as a template for other drawings. So you don't have to recreate these Okay, let's talk about what this ceiling partition was supposed to do. It's only intended to rise a foot above finished ceiling. So the distance from there to there should be 12 inches. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to select this thing and force that to be 1 foot. Okay? I'm going to take my laser gypsum board and match. Right? And then the top of this guy has to be braced at regular intervals to the underside of the floor above. So let's change this to bracing at 4-foot centers every 4 feet at 4-foot intervals to underside of floor above. So I'm going to somehow create a symbol or some visual representation of this thing. Okay? I'm not going to go nuts trying to draw a contorted piece of metal stud. Well, it will be sufficient to draw a shape, even using lines. So annotate detailed line. I'm going to use that wide line and just draw 1, 2, 3. Let's go back to thin line mode. That could represent the brace. This phrase has meaning to someone to a carpenter or a tradesperson who's creating these walls. Okay, if you wanted to see a picture of this, I'll show you guys from pictures that we use on the site. So this is our simple partition. That's our progress for the most part. And we go to the wall type drawing, and we see that in this case, this number 5 is that's an artificial placeholder that we use for the drawing that's going to go in that space. It's actually, according to this label, drawing number 1 on sheet A4. There are a number of other elements and more complex partition types that we are going to create. But I started with the most simple in the hope that you will take and rehearse this. So now that we've placed it in the drawing and it appears to fit, I can remove, double clicking or view activates. I can remove these placeholder guides, right, that we were using. And that's my drawing result so far. Actually, I don't want this dimension there because that sort of misrepresents. But this is accurately explaining that the top of the partition rises 1 foot above the ceiling. I'm not going to be explicit about that. Use the ceiling tile. Let's partition extends 1 foot 0 inches above ACTC. Okay, don't need that. I've already indicated that. Alright. This took about 20 minutes. If you take your time doing it, you should be able to create this drawing and the other drawings that's expected of you on sheet number A4 wall partition.